let a few people trickle in. How was your day, bro?
Tricking. It's good, man. It's tiring. I wrote
Yeah.
an exam on science of health and wellness.
Oh, really?
I'm ready to get
Nice.
through this last semester and look forward to the summertime.
Yeah. Oh man, I just got a new gaming computer, and so this is my first time using it.
Oh,
First time
a
setting
ni-
it up. First time everything. Yeah.
why you call
It's
it a
cool.
gaming computer?
Because it's made for gaming. It's all like has the lights and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Hey, what's up, everybody? Check in. Let us know where you're watching in from. We got Joey Collins.
Sunday.
Hey guys, what is up? What is up?
Sun-
We connect live. Oh, what you play? You know what? We don't. I don't play anything. I bought it for my kids, and they're gonna play. This is my land or something like that. It's like an indigenous game. So we're gonna create some indigenous video content for Powhatans for gaming, and so the kids are gonna do it for me. So that's my way of getting them to, if they're gonna game, let's create content. Let's put it out there. So that's what we're doing. So Joey Collins coming in from Mesa, Arizona. Hell yeah, that's a dope game. He said. Um, yeah, I seen a little bit of footage on it, and it looks cool. It's an open world concept of a indigenous person. Basically, it's they're walking around and doing, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. um, Monica says, hopefully things get better. Missing going to powwows and shopping, looking at all the cool things. Hey, check it out. There's a powwow in North Dakota coming up. I believe this month. There was a poster that just came out, so uh, gonna give you guys a little bit of that. Nate, Anchorage, Alaska. Wouldn't that
I'm
be
Jay.
something? Eh? Go check it out over there.
Northern
Mm.
Arizona, the
I'm watching
Navajo
from northern
Nation.
Arizona, the Navajo Nation. Hey, did you guys get Skylink from Elon Musk? I seen some stories that it was kind of going into the Navajo Nation, but let me know if that's true or not. What kind of things you got? Donald says, "Good evening from St. Louis, Missouri." Hey, Donald, you were in the last show, right on. Good to have you back. Many
I think
blessings to you both.
he's a weekly visitor, a weekly participant. It's always good to see.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Kansas Californians. What does that mean? Like, are you like originally from Kansas and then you just moved to California, or is there an actual place called Kansas, California? I don't know. Anyway, keep it up from Indiana. Indiana, what's up? Ohio's here. Sheba, Kramer, and Monica. Cool. Thanks. Hope all is well over here in Salmon, Idaho. That's cool. I like that. Jolene Saddleback from Musquecheese, Alberta. Hey, you're just in my backyard here. Good to see you, neighbor.
Send her some
And
smoke signals over there.
uh, what's Eli Musk? Elon Musk, the creator of Tesla. I don't know if that's a joke or if that's, an honest question, but yeah, Elon Musk. Um, Vidi Croto, hello from Alaska. We got Harold Gadawa in the house. Got no beater until my regalia is done. I'm gonna come back fresh. Shout out to Patrick and family and Nate and family. What's up, little?
Aho.
He's like my adopted son right there. Steven Jackson, watching from Sudbury, Ontario. First time checking out your podcast. You know what? It's not really a podcast. We don't want to classify it as a podcast. It's just us checking in with the community and basically letting you guys know what's up on the Power Times end, but also giving you guys a voice. That's why we highlight your comments and we kind of create a conversation with you guys. And I do like what you have to share, which is awesome. Two Feathers, Yate A from Los Angeles, Dene Navajo Nation, Virtual Sage blessings to everyone. Hey, those are some cool emojis. Look at that, bro. It feels a little different. I don't know. It just looks
Oh yeah,
different. Like a
those look
community.
different. Got some leaves in there.
Yeah,
Get you guys involved and get you
plain.
guys in the loop. Keep you in the loop on our land back movement. We're on a mission to get some land and create a
Mm,
space for indigenous people for that for us to gather, learn about the different medicines, planting, how to live sustainable, exploring different ways to live in a smarter way, so we're not consuming and abusing our mother
mm,
earth. So that's part of the mission. We're on a mission to get some land, take it over, sign our own treaty, or create our own treaties, unceded.
mm-hmm. I'm on a mission to get things done. No, you remember that song?
You gotta finish it.
Rush until life's no fun. I think something like that. You know, some of you
Six
go in it.
Nations, Ontario. Hey, Six Nations has like a 30-year-old chief,
Mm-hmm.
Mark
And
Hill.
I just heard about the passing of the creator there of the tobacco empire,
Oh,
the billionaire.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you know that was new. John, good to have you. Jolene Saddleback, awesome, great idea. Keep it up. We got some Lulu's, Joey Collins, awesome. And where are you looking for land? Good question. You know, we'd like to start off locally here, and we're in Treaty 6 territory in Alberta, Treaty 7 territory as well. Somewhere in, I guess, Alberta, we're looking at first, and then we're going to spread out and just kind of create some opportunities from everywhere for everywhere we go, right? We need help here, South Dakota, our Kumeyaay
Kumaye,
brothers and
Kumaye
Kumeyaay.
brothers and sisters.
We need help here. Okay, Nate, this is all you. Sing the song. Sing that song. I already sang one. You know, I sang that. I'm in a hurry, so um, all right, Nicholas. We'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by, and
Hey,
we
he's
got
rancher.
Cranbrook, BC.
We're always looking for skilled people that know how to ranch. Also, we'd like to
Yeah,
raise some bison on that land and get familiar with rotating bison throughout the land so they could regenerate some of the land that we use to plant crops or plant food crops and produce. So we understand that there's a process to create compost and rotate ranched animals from one part of the land to the next, so it regenerates the soil and it makes it good for food produce and yeah, different things like that. So it's always good to have
nice.
people in the network that know these different skills because we don't know them all. I've never been a rancher, so
Yeah, yeah. I had a meeting with the town here where I live, and basically I needed a little section, a 40-foot by 60-foot area for a secan hydro, not hydro, what do you call it? Hydroponics. And it grows 12,000 pounds of leafy greens. And so I was going to talk with the city here to figure out what we could do. But that actually got pushed till next week. So I wanted to give you guys that news today of what happened, and it looks like they want to create some kind of partnership where we could figure it out, to grow in all these vegetables. But you know, I was talking with Nate, and we have all these plans for like, you know, growing food for a hunting program to feed our community, feed the elders,
horse
um,
riding, horse
horse
training.
riding, getting on the land, and like you know, setting up teepees, camping on the land, land-based learning, all that good stuff we're working towards. And we currently do right now a lot of that stuff, but we do it in sections, like different places here and there. um, but I told Nate, you know what, if we're gonna do it, I might as well live it. And so I we went yesterday to a growing place, and we bought this tent and the soil and the lights so we could grow indoors year round. And so we're starting that right now. I have a setup at my house here, and we just set it up yesterday, and we planted a bunch of herbs and some vegetables. And so we're gonna live like that right now. And I bought a compost now because, you know, I found out I was throwing away a lot of food, you know, the leftover food and it would just sit in the fridge and get, you know, no one would eat it, and I'd have to throw it out. And so now we have a compost that we're going to be using to create some good soil and keep growing plants in our house, and so we're moving that way. And then we got a lot of youth programs. We applied for a lot of grants because we think about the youth and their mental health and what they're doing. A lot of them are stuck at home. So we're trying to get them outdoors. We already took a group of them hunting. We took a group ice fishing. We took a group, just sliding. We went sliding on the hill the other day. We took a bunch of youth out. And so just thinking of some ideas to get back on the land and doing some good stuff.
And
Um,
also, this part of it's going to be to create a space for communal gathering
mhm,
that can all pitch in to do the planting, to do the harvesting, and it's so much easier when it's communal effort and there's a bunch of hands on deck. So finding ways to do that and
mhm,
facilitate that, bring everybody together. But it's the land is there for the space to for people to learn about regenerative agriculture, how to plant, how to harvest, and even doing things like pickling and um, smoking meat and all of that. So it's all part of the process, part of the plan. So for you that
mhm.
for any of you that have experience or expertise in that, that'd be good to collaborate and so you can contribute.
Yeah, it's been good. Every time we talk online, there's a bunch of people who reach out. They'll go to our website and go to the contact form, and then they message us and saying, how could I help? We have land available. It's just been out of reach. But something that would help out, if you guys go to Teespring and you buy our merchandise and all that, we could use that towards programming. We could use that towards buying land. Anyway, we also have a program here on Facebook where you can send stars. I'm not asking you to do that at all, but if you're trying to figure out, how could I help? That's a way. We don't use any of the money that comes in to come to our pocket. It goes straight back to these programs we're doing, working with the youth, working with elders, and hopefully eventually get our own land that we could do a bunch of stuff. And that's the one missing key. There's a lot of grants out there that if you owned land, you could implement a lot of this stuff. And that's kind of our biggest obstacle right now, is just trying to figure out that space. It's funny, if you go to any city, any place, they have gathering spots for any religion. If you believe in, like, you're a Christian, they have they'll build you a whole church. If you're a Presbyterian, if you're if you need a mosque,
Muslim.
like, they'll build all that for you, right? Muslim. But if you're indigenous, for some reason, there's no, like, place for us a lot of times, right? There's no, for us to do our beliefs, our ceremonies, our all that, other than going back to the reservation. But if you're living outside of your reservation, a lot of our indigenous people, they go to university, they go to college, they start their career, and they don't head back to the reserve right away. So now they're stuck in the city with no place to gather, no place like that. So we're trying to figure out things like that combat that. And yes, there's grants for community gardens. Those are the ones we're actually looking at. There's a lot of those, but you need space. See, that's the thing. You need space, you need land, you need but if you could totally pull it off on a reservation, and even Nate has done the community gardens at some reservations around his area, which is pretty cool, right? So just trying to figure out in a larger scale, because when you're on reservation, you're also dealing with INAC policies. You're also dealing with politics. You're dealing with chief and councils that might not be geared towards people serving, right? And so we're trying to figure out a way to do it with no political influence, if that makes sense. So yeah, I kind of went off there. I think one way to help also is keep the language and heritage thriving. We have a good language program here, but it's only Cree right now. We are trying to figure out how can we add all the different indigenous languages. I know they're advocating Google Translation to have indigenous languages on there. So you could ask Google, "Hey Google, how do you say this in, Navajo?" and it will tell you. So I know that they're starting to advocate for that, which would be like pretty damn cool if they did. Um, but
Solo Nation. Yeah, wilderness rides on horses. That, like I see that happening in the distance. First, we have to establish, our base, and then get the youth and horse trainers, everybody comfortable on the same page, and then we can start exploring different areas of crown land. That
Hmm.
treaty we have access to. So being able to push the boundaries and really take control and take ownership of our treaty rights and fully utilize that
Hmm.
inherent treaty right of access to crown land, that access to hunting. And it'd be good to get a good group of young warriors and young men that have never been exposed to hunting and the survival practices, to get them out there, get them out of the city, and teach them about hunting and providing for their families. So that's all part of the process. Horseback riding into the wilderness and being able to survive back there is definitely something on the long term objectives, I think. So good
On the
thinking though.
radar.
Yeah.
It's there, yeah, for sure. And that's kind of why we check in with you guys. Is you guys always have some great ideas, throwing some things out there, giving us direction, and it's awesome. When you guys watch our content, like our content, share our content, it really helps out as well when we're applying for grants because it shows, hey, we have an audience that we could serve. Um, I seen a grant and it just came out. It's a digital grant and it's for bringing indigenous artists online and paying, basically giving them a chance to create an income during this time. And so there's a $20,000, 50,000, 100,000, and so we're looking into applying for that and creating a show for you guys on Power Times here, where we get to hire, let's say, like Northern Cree to do an hour show for you guys, or James Jones to do hoop dancing, or some American artists as well. So we're looking into that right now, which is pretty cool. Just to help support also our artists, our indigenous artists. And so,
what's
yeah, man,
what
just
what's the BIA, Pat? The
yeah,
I
I
know
seen
that's
that as
an
well.
American. Also, the
Yeah,
BIA.
Donald, let us know what that stands for, Donald, and we'll be checking it out.
I'm pretty sure it's different than what the Canadian policies run by, but
Oh,
BIA. I think also once we establish something and sort out the kinks of it, this is something we could. Oh yeah, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. But yeah, this is something we can model in different regions, not just in Canada, but across North America also. Ooh, Turtle Island. Hold up, man.
mm-hmm.
I'm going crazy on my
I'm trying to show them.
pop-ups.
Yeah, all right. Hello from Maryland, Gaithersburg,
Gatorsburg? Gatesburg?
Gaithersburg, Maryland. I'm like, why can't I talk? I'm gonna just show you guys something real cool if I could get it. Chrome tab, this one. Boom. Y'all see that?
Yeah. Zoom in some.
Oh, I have to sign in. This is a new computer, so I can't really. I don't have all my stuff.
There you go.
So this is the little growing machine that we got. So it's a little tent and the lights, and then we have all these things growing, and we just plant our plants in there. So we have like tomatoes, carrots, green onions, all kinds of stuff that they're all lined up here growing. And that's basically our start to food sustainability, food sovereignty in our thing. So yeah, and if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's Patrick Mitzling. Check it out. All kinds of content
So
there.
you got those seedlings started. You get the seedlings
Yeah,
and then
which
you
is it's a really
transport them.
exciting process just to see. to see all that.
I bet
Do
the
you subscribe to the belief that native peoples come from Asia through the Bering Strait? I don't. No, I don't. You know what? They had the Bering Strait was like 13,000 years ago, I think. But they have evidence of tribes here like 15,000 years, way before that. Um, and so it's a good thing to look into. You
personally,
know
I
that.
think personally, I think it's something, that I don't think we should focus on. I think we should focus on, the task at hand, and reasserting our rights, and finding different ways to empower each other and work together to, we figured out the system now. We understand the whole oppressive system, so now it's time to come up with strategies to counter that system, and to use the system to beat the system. So, we're not stuck in the same place of, 50 years down the road. So, if we could think like that, and come up with strategies to work together, and work more efficiently for the benefit of all indigenous people. I think that's the task that we should be focusing on, not necessarily, the beliefs of the Bering Straits. And people have different beliefs, and I think that's totally fine. That's up to them. But I think we should focus on coming up with strategies, on working together to empower our people, and help as
Mm.
much of our people for the future generations as we can. Aho.
Oh, nice. Nanaskamun. I think we're gonna figure out like trying to find a way where our community here gets a little piece of ownership of it. Like they're involved with the process. I don't know if that involves us maybe doing a Kickstarter, and our group right here that are always, that are always tuning in. It could be their little brainchild too, their little baby that, they said, "Hey, I was a part of this where we got land together as indigenous people, and then we built this place where we could all gather. Maybe we could have pals there, round dances, ceremonies, all kinds of stuff, and it's just a part of like all of us coming together." Sounding like a politician. What kind of strategies? So you know what we have strategies. We're a nonprofit business, but we have ways of revenue right now that we're creating. We have a language program, and we're building up that revenue in terms of buying land. So, and we're talking with our banks, we're talking with towns, seeing what kind of partnerships are out there, and we're looking at food first. And if we can get that food system going, um, it's about 250,000 for this food system, and it produces about 70,000 a year in revenue. But if we can get a lot of grant work done for that, we're gonna feed indigenous families around the area. We're gonna supply the food bank, but also we're gonna take some of that revenue to either acquire the land along with the language program, or else grow into where we buy a second unit, things like that. So we kind of have strategies in place that we're thinking and talking about,
Yeah,
to make it really
strategies
good.
to get the youth involved, to take back our ways of working with the land and on the land, and those are important. We got real good at planting food, that we were our rights for producing food and selling it to the market were taken away in the early 1900s, because they wanted us to be farmers. Then we got too good at being farmers, so they took that right away on us, and they try to sabotage it in different ways. So that's part of our strategy, is getting back to the land, and teaching the importance to the youth, and other other nations, showing them how it's done.
What about starting a petition? I think saying
A partition.
petition. Everything starts with a vision, which is cool. Then one step at a time. It doesn't work, try something different. Yeah, exactly right, Donald. You know what? We've been getting some wins. You know, there's different wins that we're getting, especially with the youth, working with the youth, and that's always been a first and foremost passion of mine. Nate has been, working really a lot with the land and energy and things like that. So we're just kind of putting our minds together, which is really really cool. And yeah, is there a D Live channel? What is that, Tony? Let us know what that is. A D Live channel as well. Yeah. Hello from Omaha, Nebraska with the hearts. I like that. What's up, Colleen? Hopefully things are good on your end. Prayers to everyone here. And yeah, you know what? It's just really just talking about it. We seem to be getting more allies as we go, more resources, more people are jumping on board, which is really cool. And we really just want to be transparent about everything as we go as well. So I think that's the big thing is letting you guys know what's happening on our end, and all that. Oh, it's another platform like YouTube. Tony says D Live. I haven't heard about it, so I'll have to check it out. Yeah, man. I don't know what else, Nate. I kind of got a blank. I'm like, what the heck?
Well, I mean, I think horses, horses will be a good tool in getting the youth and even high risk youth. I think it would be good for them to use that as therapy, in their recovery or dealing with their issues, and then horses could be used as part of putting all the land together or getting all the different areas of the land, and connecting those. We might have spots for medicine planting, and then another area for food planting, and then another area for, like maybe a market where people come and they buy their fresh produce for the week. And so I think identifying the different tools that we'll need and um, kind of prioritizing those tools. And
Mm, yeah, I think and here's how we like service everybody else, because I realize we're in one location here, but if we could figure out the algorithm, here's where you get the supplies, here's how you get funding, here's how you write the grants, that's what we're going to give to everybody, so it could happen not only where we're at, but everyone else could use the same philosophy, the same frameworks, the same algorithm, and they can go out. And it's a cool thing because we have some really good connections with people who are doing a lot of good work with like cultural camps, and my buddy Eric, he's doing a lot of work with land-based education with youth, and he's been really implementing that. So we take these algorithms from all these different people that are working, and we share that with everyone. And so if you're a person like us who like just wants to serve your community and you want to figure out how to do it, we want to give you guys these algorithms, these frameworks, so you basically could just plug in and be like, okay, here's a great youth program for our community that we got from Powhatan, you know what I mean, that we got from Eric Mentucker, we got from Nate, like, so um, that's kind of what we're figuring out right now. Mm.
yeah, and I think like,
Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead, bro.
Um, what I was gonna say was we even serving corporate clients where they're working on indigenizing and trying to understand from our perspective our values and why we feel so passionately about some of their extractive industries and that. And maybe that's if they have an opportunity to come to the land and sit down with an elder and listen to the stories from an elder of the land, then maybe they'd have a better understanding and they'd realize why we are the way we are. And passionate about protecting the lands and the waters, you know. So um, creating a space like that, I think there's another purpose for it also, which is yeah, giving these outside institutions a better perspective, because they actually have to come to the land and actually sit with the people of the land so they could understand their values and their perspectives.
Hmm. More ceremony and teachings for the youth and create a chain to get things done. Exactly, it's kind of things that we've been doing a lot lately and working towards. Um, we know that they're our future and that they're gonna lead the way, pretty soon. So, anytime we could work with them and getting them out there is good. Um, Another thing is, hey man, I had a situation, and maybe I'd bring it up here a little bit too, but I'll wait near the end because I might get sidetracked. Is there a way to buy foreclosed homes that sat a while, or maybe even land that has been sale for a long time, and get grants to buy them just to farm? Good question. A lot of the grants that I've seen, they don't call for land purchases. So, a lot of them exclude land purchases. I haven't found any yet that, you're able to buy land. So, and we're actively looking. We have, a lot of subscriptions to grant programs where they release all these grants to us, and they let us know what category it's in that we fit in. So, nothing that I've seen yet. Nicholas, welcome back. Jennifer Breeden says, I think we need to stress the fact that people are suffering. And if we're allowed to go forward with our plans and coming together and helping community and the land, um, there's more to this here. With our plans and coming together and helping the community and the land. Oh, yeah, that's it. Absolutely right. Our people are. And for instance, I had a pretty hard thing that me and my wife had to go through the last few days. My son Ari, he cut his hair. He has long hair. He has beautiful long hair, and he cut the front of it because it was there, and he was getting made fun of at school. And so we live in a town where there's not too much indigenous people in the school, so you would really stand out if you're a young boy with a braid. And throughout the school year, he had to continuously defend his identity. You know what I mean? Like, why do you have long hair? And like, when he goes to the boys' bathroom, people say, hey, you're in the wrong bathroom. So he's continually, defending his gender, his identity, because they just don't understand. Hey, indigenous boys have long hair and a braid. Like, it's, like we're in
Part of
2021
their
here. And
culture and heritage, hey?
yeah, and so he struggled with, that was a really tough thing for us, especially to get to a point where he feels like he has to cut him of his hair. Um, was really tough for us, and so we know those issues and these struggles that even our young youth are going through. So our young boys in grade 2 only, and he's dealing with, having to deal with things about, who he is. And we want to get to that place where all our youth are proud to be who they are, and they don't have to defend who they are. They're able to be indigenous just simply to be indigenous. And that's the
And
challenge, right?
more people should be educated about that, you know, especially here in so-called Canada. They should understand, you know, the people of this land, they have their culture and they should be educated. You know, we shouldn't have to do the educating and
Hmm.
defending our identity, and that they should actually be taught that, you know, different cultures have different aspects to them, so they should understand that.
Hmm. So yeah, it's an uphill battle right now. And I think, like, once we get, for instance, our answer is the land, and we'll get the schools out on the land. They could learn, and they can go through programming there, and they could, you know, really, really experience it. And I miss pals too. I miss being out. I miss being in communities. I miss going out and dancing. A lot of online powwows right now, but um, not I need people, right? We organize cultural awareness sessions with big business and other city groups. It's better for them to understand why we are not the same. That's such a good initiative. I know my pops back in Saskatoon, they kind of do that as well. They go to big businesses and teach them about that. It's a lot of work, and it's a much needed work. Um, I have a friend, Owl Feather, and he went through that at school. I told him he should write a book on bullying isn't just for skin colors. Let us know, if you get that book, man, we'll buy it. Everyone thinks my 10-year-old nephew is a girl, but he knows the power of his long hair and won't let anyone cut it. He stands proud of his long hair. See, that's the thing too. Like gender to having to defend your gender. Like, hey, I'm not a girl. Like, shouldn't have to happen. Like it's just it's tough for a young boy, especially if they're because if my boy was on my res right now, there's tons of boys with braids, long hair, they fit in. You're not an outsider. It's a normal thing, right? But for some reason, when you're out, they just can't tell the difference. I don't know why.
I know. Like they're fully dressed like a boy. My boys go through the same thing, and they decided to grow their hair, and like that was their decision, and they're 10 and 12 now, and they have long hair, and
Hmm.
they educate people about their identity. So but it shouldn't be on children to educate grown people about their identity and their culture. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's the system.
And I talked to my boy after, and I asked, do you want to cut your hair? And he's like, no, I don't. If I could go back, I wouldn't have did it. He just felt pressure, pressure from everything that was going on, his school, everything. And, to have that as a young kid is shouldn't have to happen, honestly. My son went through the same thing with his hair. When I allowed him to cut his hair, I was told I cut off all his strength. So I teach him how to be proud of his hair and show him other men and boys with hair so he defends himself now. Very beautiful.
Did you
Um,
ever hear that story about the war, the World War, and how they got some indigenous men over there to be the
Scouts and everything,
scouts?
and
Yeah,
they were very well skilled. They knew when danger was coming. They knew everything when they had their long hair. But when they cut their hair, all of a sudden those skills didn't. They were like what they were wondering what happened, and they
that
realized that their
sixth
hair was
sense.
the sixth sense. But if you actually, when they studied hair, it's like part of your nervous system. And so if it's an extension of your nervous system, your senses are heightened, and so that's like a big huge part of why our warriors were pretty, and throughout the Indian wars, which are the longest lasting wars in history, they always used indigenous people as scouts. They always had them as part of their armies, and good reason, right? Because we knew the land and we had all these senses and heightened senses, all that, right? So reverse residential school, instead of learning Christianity, they would learn their own culture and ways of tribes in that surrounding area. Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
this was his educate, but you're right, you shouldn't have to. I never used to have long hair, but I'm starting to grow mine. It's barely at my neck now. You know what? That's always the hard stage, when it's here. Um, I cut my hair a few times, and the reason why I did it was, a loved one has passed on, and so, I was taught that braid, that length of your hair signifies that time that that person was with you. And so in another way to release them, to let them on their journey, cut your hair and say that was the time I had with them, and you're going to start new, you're going to start over, you're going to start fresh. I wrote a book called The Sound of a Silent Voice. It's a poetry. There are many poems about spiritual awareness and how it can give hope and heal without soon. That's awesome. So anyone you want to
Shared
reach
on
out,
Palo times.
share it up. This is awesome. Donald said, "This is sad. I was never really discriminated at school. I was the Indian, but no one questioned my culture. Of course, living in mainstream America, all I really knew about Indian culture was what was taught in school. After school in the Navy, it was a benefit. After the Navy, in the Union was minority and got me some good jobs. Um, That's interesting. You're talking about that, and when World War I came and we were put on reservations, this is a Canadian story. They had a call out, and Indigenous people, they didn't have to sign up, but per capita we were the highest out of any ethnicity to sign up for the war voluntarily. And so the Indigenous people went out. And here's the crazy thing, when they sent out the front lines, guess who they sent out first? The Indigenous people, and they sent them out first. And these are stories from veterans that I've heard at POWs. But when they came back from the war, they started to fight for our Indigenous rights. And here's the thing, when they signed up for the war, they gave up their treaty rights as a status Indian. And they didn't care because they wanted to fight for their people, not so much for Canada itself, but for the land and for the people. And so they knew, like, leaving to join the war to fight for this country, that they were going to lose their rights as an Indigenous person. So when they came back, they started to fight for Indigenous rights. And that's where the pass system started to kind of diminish, because we had a pass system where we couldn't leave the reserve without permission. We couldn't even sell our agricultural goods, like Nate said, for profits. And so we suffered, right? And so they started fighting for our rights, and that's where 1951, 1950 area, they started being able to gather and sing and dance again, and we started having powwows and having resurgence of our culture, our identity, things like that. So crazy stuff, right? What about burning hair? I burn my hair, if I want to, if you want to get rid of it, you're not going to just throw it away. So you burn your hair. It's kind of a spiritual thing. My hair is now past my belt loops. That's long, long, beautiful hair. Right on. I used to have long hair. People right away, because of the way I looked through right away, it thought it was drug related. I explained to my mother I was half Iroquois. Once I explained it, all good. That's good. Awesome. Oh man, we got a ton of messages, that texts that came in. Woohoo from TRM, or from Texas. Right on, guys. Hey guys, thanks for engaging. We got over 100 uh, comments, which is pretty cool. You guys are engaging. You're here. Right on. My nickname is Wind in My Hair, and Maria says Cherokee.
Top
One
way.
one time I was at a Cherokee casino. I forgot where I was, but there was a mini earthquake where I was, and a little like two point something earthquake at a Cherokee casino. And I was
Was
just
that in
checking it.
Oklahoma?
I think, yeah, somewhere in that area. I think we were
Due to
driving.
fracking, then.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was from fracking, and we were on our way from Oklahoma area, but we're heading towards Vegas. And so we're taking that route there, and then we like, hey, check out this Cherokee casino. And we checked it out, and all of a sudden this little rumble. I was like, oh man, what is that? Yeah, that was a little freaky, but yeah, I don't know why that came to mind, but yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a POW in North Dakota coming up. I don't know if I could find the poster, give you guys details. Um, but someone had to go first, right? So these POWs are gonna start happening, and we'll see how the summer goes. But where I am, the restrictions are still there. We got Tell us wherever you're at, what your restrictions are. Here, it's a 10 max gathering outdoors. So you can only gather outdoors to the max of 10 people. And then indoors, I think it's like 5 people or less than that. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. You gotta plug the Power Times blog. Get the person that wrote a poem to share her poem
Oh,
on
yeah.
Power Times.
Don't believe what Hollywood says when it comes to who we are as First Nations people. Unfortunately, that's what many folks get their knowledge from about us, learn about from the elders. A lot of people overseas, that's what they see, and they still think like we're still living in teepees and stuff like that just because of Hollywood. But Nate said, if you're a poet, just like the poet that came in here and said that they wrote a book, we have our website, powtimes.ca/register, and you can become a writer on our website, our blog. And we get a lot of visitors, sometimes up to 17,000 visitors in a day. And so you could, if you want to get your work out there, if you want to help revitalize language with us. Teach your language, whatever language culture you're from. If you have indigenous stories, anything like that, and you want to share it, you could write it on our blog, and we'll share it to our Facebook page, our YouTube, all our social media accounts, and we'll get you eyeballs. And let's say you're an artist, you do beadwork, or if you do any kind of hide work, or we had some people from Alaska that were tuning in here. If you have any kind of artwork that you do there, it's a good chance to promote yourself as an indigenous artist. And that's kind of what our whole platform's about, is connecting people with culture, but also promoting indigenous artists and entrepreneurs and indigenous tourism. Anything that we can do to help out, we're here to do our best for you.
Yeah, just sharing stories. Donald Track Senior was sharing some of his story. I think that'd be a good place for him to go into detail about some of the history and any stories also that you might have heard from elders, or important lessons even. That's a good place to take those stories. They'll live on,
Mm, great, great.
and somebody might connect with that story too on the platform, and you know provide a response, or be able to share the reaction that they got from reading that story. So it's always good to just put it out there, and you're putting good energy out there, see what comes back to you. You never know. So I encourage you to just go try it. It gets easier as just the more you do it. So
I'm
yeah.
just trying to log in and see
We
if
have a
there was
good
any, because we
question.
have.
How can I learn my Cree language?
How could I learn my Cree language? My parents kept from me from my culture. I felt empty my whole life until the spiritual experience. And please text that address so I could write it down. Please, to promote some poems. Yeah, powatimes.ca /register. Pretty easy, register. Um, we have if you follow our page, we have our Cree teacher Julia Olette, and she goes live twice a week on here for free, and she teaches Cree. And so if you scroll, through our YouTube, our Facebook, and you just keep scrolling, there's tons and tons of videos that we have for free where we're teaching the Cree language. If you want to take her program where you get weekly teachings, a printout, an audio book, an audio download, it's repeataftermecree.com. It's $20 a month. But here's the thing, like, if you were if you invited an elder or a knowledge keeper to your house every week, what would you do for them, right? Would you pay their gas? Would you give them tobacco? Would you buy them tea? Right? So that's a really steal of a deal to have a knowledge keeper coming to you every week, teaching you Cree. And then we're gonna implement a private Facebook group where we can talk and go live every once a month, and then you can ask questions specifically if you want specific words you want to know. That's going to be implemented here very soon with repeataftermecree.com. I don't think I have a caption for that here.
Maybe we could even set up a virtual competition, and she would be the judge, so she could
Mm,
see who's actively engaged and passionate about learning the language, and then you showing her that you've learned. So being able to
mhm.
to reiterate that, I'm sure that'll make her proud. But that's part of the
Yeah.
process, and making it happen.
And we grant a language grant, and we'll know next month if it goes through. And if we can get that to go through, it'll drastically lower the cost of the Cree program, if not so people could access that. One thing about free is people forget about it. People forget because they have no commitment to it. So even if it's $1 a month, then you have some type of commitment to it, that you would actually do the program. Because a lot of times when you get something for free, it kind of just gets buried in because there was no effort or a value associated with it. And so, um, trying to figure out a way where people will have that some type of commitment to it, even if it's $1 a month, something that anyone could afford. So she's very good. We got a testimonial of someone. I share her words when she shares them with me. Good lessons to watch. Yeah. So she's actually my mom. Yeah. Actually, me and Nate, where she took us in, and she's like our mom. Um, Blood wise, she'd be like my auntie, but she raised me when I was young, and so yeah, she teaches very good Cree. She gets flown out everywhere, Hawaii, all these different places, and she learns that. So that's pretty cool. She teaches
And then
me.
she adopted me because me and Pat were tight, and then she adopted me the Nehia way. So
Mhm,
my adopted mom the Nehia way.
mhm. Monica says it's sad when that happens, like to your son. That's why my grandpa left the Four Corners at 1918 for salmon, and he never went back because then they were sent to Indian schools and discrimination against. And it's sad because we lost our culture just getting it back. I have heard from white man CPS. I am half breed, so I can't raise my kids. So it's wrong and needs to stop. Like you said, education about lost culture is a good start. You know what? Like we are in that weird stage where a lot of us at our age, especially me and Nate's age, where we barely know, we kind of know, we don't, but we know. My connections to culture have been, powwows for sure has been my university. It's been my connection with my culture. Going to sweat lodges and sun dances, and going more often now, and just really, really paying attention. But like my kids now, my boy Ari, who we're talking about, he speaks Cree, and he says it, and he does the Cree prayer for us, and he's starting to speak more Cree. And so I asked my brother Chris, and I asked him, hey, what's decolonization for a guy like me who lives in the city? And he said, "Oh, that's very easy, brother." He said, "If you could give yourself and your kids a chance to be more indigenous than your parents had, then you're decolonizing. So, giving our kids greater opportunity to be indigenous, to speak their language, to know their culture, that's decolonizing, right?" Um, and I thought that was a very beautiful, like kind of simple, good answer that I could follow. Is okay, I'm going to give my kids a greater opportunity to be indigenous than my parents had because they were taken away from residential schools, all that, right? So they had a cultural disruption. I want to say fully genocide, but a cultural disruption where we had to like regain a lot of that back. Whew. Winona, what's up? I'm listening from Iowa. I can hear more about sustainable living, any planet, people, profit, and purpose ideas. Can we hear more about sustainable living?
Plant
Nate,
some
man,
seeds.
this is your category, man. This is where you shine.
I say just learn to start off small, just growing food, just using a little bit of soil, a little bit of dirt, but also even just exploring documentaries. Um, Kiss the Ground was one of them. The Food Revolution Network was another. YouTube. I've learned a lot about composting and how to enrich soil, and doing things like water capture from your dwelling. So all of these things, your plants, your food plants, any plants, they like rainwater more than they do like city water. So by doing water capture, you're feeding your plants good rainwater, and they'll grow better, stronger, and produce more. So they're happier. So everything has a soul. Even your food plants, they have souls too. So um, that's part of the process. Start small and just learn little by little. You can't learn everything all in one day or in one week or in one season. So just trying different things and getting familiar with it. That's all the start, and it all comes down to the soil, making sure you have good soil, and learning how to build up. real nutrient rich soil. So that's that's part of who we are. We were disconnected from being a part of the land and the whole process. We're part of that natural law and that natural cycle. So getting back to that, that's going to be a journey, but it's good. It's always good to start somewhere, and especially with the kids. The youth, they really enjoy that hands-on learning and planting, weeding, and then just harvesting it and seeing them eat it. They have so much pride and joy when that moment happens. So encouraging that year after year, and even if things don't go so well the first year, still you could take that and try again. But it's a skill you'll have for life, and it's a skill you could pass on to your children, and their children can pass that on to their children. So the
Mhm.
the journey continues.
Yeah. Um, Even us, where we talk to our plants when they're growing, and just having conversations with them as that they, like you said, everything's living, everything's connected. Big thing to for our household to be sustainable is like you know exercising our inherent right to hunt. We ate a lot of moose and deer this whole winter, which was really awesome. We still have a lot left to hopefully last us another 2 months, and then getting the plants, ready for harvest here. So our food systems is happening, which is really cool. We're gonna add solar to our house because we want, and composting, and then we're writing grants. We wrote a grant for garden beds that we're gonna give out to the community around us and teach them how to grow their own plants. And vegetation in their house, right? Where they live, maybe in their balconies, right? They could have a raised bed garden. Um, and then thinking bigger with like the can hydroponic system that grows crops year round, and then how many of those can we add, so we're not only feeding ourselves but feeding our community. And so some good ideas that we got going on for sovereignty, for helping people out. So youth idea involving horses. He follows the PBR First Nations team called Wolves and Academia History or Elders. Oh no, that's two things. Part two, made third place in the Gold Cup. Put a whooping on Brazil, Argentina. So that from horse professional riding, I believe.
PBR,
You know what?
professional bull riding, I think.
Yeah, if you get youth involved in anything that you're good at, any kind of thing, you give them a avenue, any kind of avenue if that's positive. Let's do it. History knowledge. Who is accurate regarding our history? I made my choice. What about you, brothers? You know, it's tough, but I read so much. Like I read so much, and so all these lines of different books, and then it's funny how everything connects. Everything is starting to connect. Like these different stories will connect with this other story, and then you talk with your elders, and then those stories kind of connect. So it's like a big puzzle piece. That's what I'm finding for my journey anyway. I'm just putting these puzzle pieces together of where everything kind of fit in timelines and things like that. But I don't know. How
Yeah,
about you, Dave?
yeah, that was part of my boy went to school, and they were talking about the smallpox blankets, and this is a couple months back before Christmas, and his teacher told him, that wasn't really proven, and I was really pretty disappointed, and it kind of angered me that she would even say anything like that. But and then just last week he was telling me they're learning about uh, Custer and the Battle of Wounded Knee, and then he already he was listening to Black Elk with me, and then he watched a YouTube of the battle, and uh, yeah, so he was familiar with the story, and anyways, I sent him to school with a book called Earth Elder Stories, and it was told by an indigenous elder that was Soto, and he was the storyteller and the knowledge keeper for the Soto, from his family, and those stories were told by the elders, and then he got it transcribed into a book so those stories can live on. And anyways, I sent him to school with that book, and in that book, it does talk about the smallpox blankets and how the tribe experienced going through that. So he took that book to school, and he showed that book to his teacher, and his teacher was at a loss for words that she actually photocopied the book and is now making it a part of the curriculum for her class. So, you
I own
know,
it. I own
that's
it.
uh,
That's
that's
good.
one of the ways. Like it if we can get some of those stories from the elders into written format where those stories will live on and they could be shared to a wider audience, I think that benefits everybody. That's everybody that's part of that tribe or part of that nation, part of those people. So
Yeah. Well, we've been on for an hour, and usually that's kind of our finish line where we bring this plane in for a landing. I know we could talk. We could keep this going. We're having a good fireside discussion chat. And it's awesome. But we're gonna connect back with you guys next week, probably about this time, depending on me and Nate's schedule. Sometimes he has school, and he's doing exams, and other times I'm taking my son to dance class and things like that. So hopefully, next week for sure, 6 or 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we'll be here. What is that? 7 or 8 Eastern Standard Time. Anyway, I'm looking forward to this weekend. A big UFC fight. I'm into UFC. That's one of the only sports I really follow. So I'll be maybe hopefully can connect with Nate during that time. But yeah, Kim, what's up? White Bear First Nation veteran in the house. We are all connected. Great Sioux Nation. So just trying to give you guys as much shout outs as I could real quick. Uh, and yeah, so thanks for being a part of this. If you had any value today hanging out, like, share, comment. It helps with the Facebook algorithm, YouTube algorithm. And thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Anything you want to say, Nate?
moistas.
Muistas.